Good morning to Montreal. Good morning to everyone watching Breakfast Television. We are back, and she is a best-selling author of the book, The Big Power of Tiny Connections, and a keynote speaker who works as a connection coach and facilitator for sales teams and individuals. Joining us live now is Jen Nash to talk about an important topic that a lot of people don't discuss really, sober socializing. Jen, thank you for joining us first off.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love this topic.
Yeah, so a lot more people are starting to, it's trending, leaning that way where they are taking the plunge and deciding, you know what, whatever reason you're deciding to stay sober in the moment, you want to be able to go out there and socialize without having that drink. But it is tough. Even for me, I'm not sober, and I feel like when I'm in that setting, I'd beeline to the bar. But you have some tips for being able to socialize without having to get that drink. Tell us about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So first off, I always remind myself, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Because I've done it off and on for a decade. And it started out, I can't lose weight when I drink. Like, they just don't go hand in hand. And so every August, I would sort of be like, okay, where are we at weight-wise? And I would go out with friends and I would notice the pushiness. And I would say, I just can't. I won't make my goal if I don't. So be aware of, why are you taking a step back from alcohol? And maybe it's you've noticed you don't feel so great the next day. I have a lot of friends in their 20s and 30s and 40s who are saying, I don't sleep well. You know, my work is really important this week. I want to feel great. Or they're training for something. So really remember why you're doing it straight off the bat. Does that resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. So that you remember why, and also it's a good point that you put out there. The fact that people who are surrounding you are pressuring you. I feel like when you say you don't feel like having a drink, there's someone like, come on, just have one. Why do we do that?
I don't
know why. Yeah.
My favorite is, well, I'll have one if you have one.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I'm responsible for your good time, which, as a woman and who has a pleaser tendency, you know, I'm like, oh no. So I think we have to really just stand up for ourselves and say, I would love to, but you know, I got to feel great. You know, I got to lose the weight. Whatever your reason is, lean into that.
Right.
I think another great tip is, you know, often I think we punish ourselves visually and order the glass of water or the seltzer. I'm sorry, that doesn't thrill me. So I get, you know, a spritzer in a pretty glass. I ask for garnishes. I'll actually even ask for seltzer in my champagne glass.
Yeah.
And, you know, bartenders are so kind.
Yeah.
And they're just so used to supporting people who are not drinking.
Right, right. And I feel like that helps you mentally just kind of say, okay, I am part of the club. I'm connecting this way as well. And a lot of people use alcohol as that buffer to even just be able to open up and have a conversation. So are there icebreakers that you can think of as well that will help you do that without having to have that drink?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we can all start from a place of vulnerability if that's easy for us, for instance, and say, I'm not drinking tonight. This feels a little awkward to me. Because normally, people are going to be kind. They're going to say, oh, and maybe they'll ask you questions. How come? What's going on? You know, and if it's personal, you just say, well, I want to feel great. Or you share, you know, this is something I'm doing and I'm changing and I'm trying it and it's hard.
Right.
Alternatively, get funny. You know, how long would you last in a zombie apocalypse? Like, what do you think of the mushroom coffee craze? Like, the things that people are talking about, like, are all your friends talking about Ozempic as well? You know, I think you can start with a lot of different things. Like, what do you think of the mullets? Like,
there you go. We already started an icebreaker here. That is it. Always good to have that in the back of your head. And also, you mentioned it, just being vulnerable and being honest. That is an icebreaker on its own, just to come out and say, listen, you know what? I'm training for this triathlon, and I just want to feel good because I want to get up and run and train in the morning. So maybe that's something to open it up as well.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think also we forget that the whole concept of an icebreaker is opening ourselves up and sharing ourselves more fully.
Right.
So when you let them into what your rationale is, you know, who knows what they're going to share. You know, and it's interesting, when I was prepping for this, I got lots of texts from friends who are like, I'm trying to do that more. This is great. How do you stop at 2? You know, and I think having the conversation, even saying, you know, I'm practicing saying no, it's really hard, and see what the other person says.
Yeah, and they can probably relate like we all can, for sure. All
Yeah.
right, where can we get more information if we want to follow up on this as well?
Well, I think there's lots of information online, and I wrote a book, as you guys kindly mentioned, and in it I share lots of fun icebreakers and different ideas of how to connect more fully with the people in your lives. And you can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Chapters. Just ask them to order it in.
All right, and jennash.com as well on her website as well. Jen, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of good tips. The big power in tiny connections for sure.